Madam Chair, good to see you again. I think it's probably been covered somewhat, but I know that your leadership at the FDA in 2016, and we've discussed it before, to kind of weaken the risk evaluation and mitigation strategy protocol on the drugs used in chemical abortions. I think studies have shown that the rate of abortion-related emergency room visits after chemical abortions have risen by about almost 500%. And when we last spoke, you testified that the FDA had filed a court document about the evaluation of the data on the chemical abortion drug and that the reevaluation is imminent. My question is, why has the FDA allowed these weakened protocols for chemical abortion drugs? And are they undergoing FDA and court review for safety and efficacy? And a follow-up would be, should the REMS be strengthened to protect women from dangerous effects from chemical abortion drugs as well? So if you could answer those two questions, I'd appreciate it.
Yep, Senator Braun, we did cover this a little bit earlier, but I know that you're very interested in this and see this topic is very important. As we discussed before, the commissioner doesn't make decisions about individual products. There's a team within FDA that does that, but of course, Commissioner gets to see the work. I have great confidence in the team. They've thoroughly done the job, and they're going to continue to monitor. As required by law, there's a requirement to submit adverse events to the FDA, and they'll continue to look. And if there's a need for a change, I have every confidence they'll do so.
Well, I think as we transition to where that looks like the modality preference, I think it needs to be paid attention to, and it'll be interesting to see if the same standards are adhered to with that as maybe what's been done in the past. Let's move to another subject on opioids. The National Academy's report on combating the opioid epidemic suggested the FDA develop a new process for reviewing the safety of all approved opioids. I understand that you were confirmed not too long ago, obviously, but this information has been out there since 2017. Since your confirmation, have you reviewed the recommendations from the National Academy's report?
Yes. In fact, I'm a member of the National Academies, and I asked for that report during my tenure in 2016. So I followed it pretty carefully since I thought it was an important component of changing the paradigm that the FDA was working under. And there is now a draft guidance that takes into account one of the most important parts of that report, which is normally the way a decision about risk and benefit for a drug works is it's a risk and benefit to the individual to whom the product is prescribed. But that's not adequate for opioids.
So you have done a formal review of it?
Yes,
in addition to reading it?
Yes, and well, when you say formal review, yeah, I mean, I've read it and I've thought about it, and we have a whole team working on implementing a number of changes.
So then I guess to cut to the chase, when it comes to any rulemaking that might change vis-a-vis that report, do you anticipate that happening, and when?
I think you'll see over the course of the next year, starting imminently. And I gave, you're probably familiar with the opioid summit that happens in Atlanta that Congressman Rogers started over a decade ago. I attended that and gave a very detailed speech about our plans, and it's a matter of public record, and we'll make sure your staff gets it and you can look at it. There are a whole number of things, some of which are in process now, and some of which you'll see in the next month. And there are, I must say, there are a couple of areas where we're probably going to come back to you if there's concurrence within HHS and say that we need some new legal authority. Just to give an example of one that I'm particularly concerned about that we talked about a lot, right now the FDA doesn't have legal authority when it comes to a new drug application to require that it provides superiority to drugs that are already on the market. The comparator for legal standard is compared to placebo or nothing. And I think for opioids don't work like other drugs, and I think that's something that I would like to see happen. That may require something from Congress to institute that. That's one example.
I think at the level of where the crisis still is relative to opioids, that additional authority and then subsequent rulemaking that tries to do more there, most of us would expect that to happen and would be warranted.
Well, thank you. And I just want to remind you, as we discussed, that between my two stints, we started a not-for-profit in Dayton, Ohio, that dealt with everything from detox for people that were trying to withdraw from opiates all the way out to finding jobs and dealing with the legal system. So I have a pretty comprehensive list, and I know Dr. Gupta from West Virginia, who's now at ONDCP, just released the plan from the government, and we're totally in support of that, and we'll work as hard as we possibly can. I've seen this in real life in Ohio, and it's something we've got to deal with.
So on both issues, we'll be watching. It sounds like you're willing to engage on it, and thank you for the time today.
Thank you.